audio device and then change it back.
Yeah, it's one of the
sexy, and I know it.
small flies. Small flies.
Why did I show you this?
Go on.
This is disturbing. Very
This is a
disturbing.
test.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
is a test.
Hello.
Just go so. Oh, I find someone very attractive.
No custom avatars for you guys. Very damn.
We still can't hear you, Shane, if you're talking.
Oh,
It's gone.
we hurt his
happens.
feelings.
I thrusted too hard, and he was. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, that is his back
back.
too.
Yeah.
Look, his back. Oh, his front.
I still can't hear you.
Yep.
Let's try to make it something new. Say something.
Do we have a new camera somewhere?
I mean, the
don't know.
the
Do we?
selfie camera is always, the flyby is still here.
Yeah.
Omni, I see two of you. There's you, and there's another you.
It's Omni One and then Omni One.
Only one.
Omni 1 and Omni 1. Sub duplicate.
What if I can point at both of them at the same time? Yes, I can.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, no,
it's
I
over.
can't get them to do it.
Yep, it's the man of the hour.
Habara.
Hubba-loo,
Oh, Shane's back.
hubba.
Is there any audio? I don't think there is.
And
No
now
audio
Shane,
yet.
Shane,
No
Shane
audio
will
yet.
now introduce us to
Only-
audio.
He can only produce
Come
audio
on,
if you
talk to
do-
me.
Yay!
Oh, sure,
Shane
yeah,
is
we can
playing
hear
the
you.
part of a mime today.
Nice.
Oh, there you
Not there.
go.
Only because I did a special dance to summon your audio.
That must be it. That
I
must
thought
be
you were
it.
doing
Dance of my
Marcel
people.
Marceau impersonation.
You know, it's funny. It's funny. I recently used what you're doing as an example to show how salsa was possible on Banter as a bit of a joke. Because I think it's kind of like that, right? That's pretty much salsa. It was a gift that Bob put in for like all hands or something like salsa moves
Nice.
in like some, yeah. And,
By the way, you sound
I
like,
shared that with someone.
You're in a wind tunnel.
Oh yeah, sorry. Hang on. How's that? Is that better?
Yep. So you did.
Nice.
Are we
How's
talking
everyone
to
doing?
Excellent.
this, or it's up to you?
God, we keep saying this, and then we say we'll chat about it and see if we want to do something,
Yeah.
and then
That's fine. I
don't.
think Barry,
Nah,
you
nah,
record
it's-
this, don't you?
he does, yeah,
Yeah.
he does.
What did I do?
Okay.
Yeah, no big deal.
Record this,
Oh,
right?
I'm recording. I'm trying to keep my head still because my PC power supply hasn't arrived yet.
Fair enough. you're
So
recording
I'm
all of
interested
this.
to. Oh yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
It's inappropriate.
Nice. Yeah, we're having fun.
Classified. It's going to get banned off YouTube. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, it's gonna get banned by the Online Safety Act. You're scaring Omni. What are you gonna do? What's going on here?
Sorry.
Is that it? We'll just make it all about that. Look, you can do it while on the ground.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway.
Wiggle those legs. Look, they're really putting the IK to the test here, folks. This is some high grade stuff right here. Anyway, anybody been building stuff, or anybody
Yes.
have anything that's broken since we went to Unity 6.2.6 F2? Anybody interested in? Do you know? Before I get to that, do you want to hear like the background of this hip swinging and why it's even in here? The origin story.
Yeah.
It was a joke one day that Nimso materialized, and then I was forced against my will to include it in the build, and we had to support it. So it was basically, just a meme joke internally in the office that ended up becoming kind of like the old finger movement, if you remember that, right? Where you could do the middle finger
Yep.
with it. But yeah. Unity 6.2.6 F2 kind of rhymes a little bit. Yeah, has anybody been building with it? Anybody had any major problems? Is anything that anybody was working on broken?
I had one little hiccup. Vanquisher could probably explain it if he's mic'd up. He helped me though. It was a real quick fix. I forget
Something to do with
what the
physics?
exact. No, it was a setting, just one little setting I had to make in the
Gotcha.
under the uh,
Yeah,
projects
was the
settings.
.NET framework one that I mentioned.
Oh, the Odin serializer. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And I don't know
uh,
why I had to do that, but it, whatever it was,
It could have
was
been a
just real
bad
quick
upgrade.
fix.
Maybe if you were upgrading the plugin or something like that. But yeah, we tested, or Vanquisher tested that out on a new project, and it's supposed to make that switch for you automatically. Thankfully, that one's not the worst, at least anyway. It's pretty descriptive in terms of telling you what to do, and it's a fairly
Yeah,
fairly straightforward thing to do as well.
yeah.
But
Very easy to do.
yeah, no other problems, and nobody else has had any problems yet.
Should we be
Noticed
able?
anything wrong? I know that there's some problems with the video player on mobile, on the mobile client, right? Not the Quest version or the PC version or the PCVR version, let's say, but on Android mobile, there are some issues with the video player which can be worked around, as far as I know, with a sequence of rejoin. I think it was Ghost Droid that figured that out. But yeah, we should get that sorted. To be honest, I'm in the process of revamping the entire browser system right now anyway, so there's every possibility that will fix that problem and probably cause a bunch of other ones. But that's software development, especially now with AI. Jeez.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Should we be able to import previous versions into 6?
Yeah, that
Okay.
should work generally well, I would say, in the Unity hub.
Okay.
I mean, for good measure, they always say make a backup first.
Mhm.
If I'm honest with you, I generally don't do that. I would just upgrade it and go. In the past, Unity's upgrade flow was a bit tricky, but yeah, it's improved a lot over the years, and yeah, now it's a lot more stable. So in the past, you would have to have some sort of a backup plan in place,
Okay.
but now it's generally pretty smooth.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe do a backup if it's your first one. See how that goes.
Right.
If all goes well, see how you feel about some of your other projects. But
Okay. Thank you.
it should be pretty seamless.
Right on.
Yeah, it's also pretty backwards compatible from what I've seen as well, right? So if you're making stuff in the new Unity or you're making it in the existing version, either will work in Banter, right? Whether it's the old client or the new client. The only thing that I'm actually genuinely aware of that's changed is some of the naming of properties around some physics components. We've actually had to, well, just today I had to adjust some of our own stuff to match, right? They've always had what you call a physic material, right? Which you put on a collider to tell it whether it's slippy or bouncy or whatever it is. They've changed that to now call it the physics material as opposed to physic material. After all this time, they've decided to rename that. So that's one thing. They've also renamed a bunch of properties on the rigid bodies. So I'm thinking everything is going to be fine there. So far, everything seems to be good, but some visual scripting maybe that uses velocity, especially. Velocity has changed to linear velocity now in the newer Unity. But yeah, other than that, things seem to be pretty stable. And it's the first time we've really been able to get a Unity version that we can say with confidence that performance is within nominal levels, right, between the existing version and the new version. And we're still using the built-in render pipeline. If anybody's, obviously, we're still using it, right? All these worlds are built with it. But that's Unity's oldest render pipeline setup. But thankfully, it still seems to be working well. Unity 6.2. And yeah, performance is pretty good, right? So I hate to say it, I don't like to commend Unity, right? But we are here, we're building with Unity. I did once threaten them with a lawsuit on Twitter which got picked up by Upload VR. But it's good. It's working pretty well so far, and we haven't really had any major, apart from, like I said before, that issue with the browser on mobile. We haven't heard any other major issues yet that people have been having. So, yeah, let me know if you do come across anything, or if anything seems broken in any of the worlds. Please let us know.
So Shane, I have a question.
Shoot.
So as a space maker, what are the new features in Unity 6 that we would be able to utilize?
That's a great question. So one really interesting one is that they've got an automatic mesh LOD system now. So that can allow you to really crank performance. Basically, it works kind of like the LOD system we had for our avatar system, right? Where it basically can generate lower fidelity versions of the mesh on the fly at runtime, and Unity just handles all of that for you. So, truth is, we haven't enabled it fully yet, but the plan is to just make it backwards compatible. That will actually just do it at runtime and go through every scene that exists and add this mesh LOD. I mean, we might have to experiment, right? We want to see exactly how it works and how well it can work. But it could reduce a huge amount in terms of performance for objects that are just out of your view or far away enough that fidelity doesn't matter anymore. Other than that, there's a huge upgrade to UI Toolkit, which is the whole new UI system. We've been using it for quite a while in Banter. But yeah, fairly soon in the SDK, you're going to be able to use it too. There's a whole interface that we've built, mapped it into visual scripting. Aline has gone through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure she's happy with it. Also works from JavaScript, which is great. So you're going to be able to build out really performant UIs using kind of web-like technologies, right? Like HTML and CSS-like stuff to build out UIs inside of Banter. So it's actually pretty cool. Like the new setup, it lets you use the browser in the menu, which I think should be a lot more stable. I think we tried to do this before where people opened the browser in their menu and it might have crashed a couple of people in here. But I'd say if you opened it now, it would probably be a lot more stable. If you go to the menu and hit the browser button, there's another browser button at the top just beside the refresh button. If you click that, that will show you the interface for the space, the browser surface for the space. For those of you that don't know, every world in Banter has a web address. It's a URL, just works like a website.
There's some
And,
weird stuff
yeah.
in it at the moment.
There is. You can see some testing stuff that I was playing with.
Yeah.
It'll be showing you feedback on your mouse move and showing you
No.
that you can click. No?
At the moment, it's showing a big piece of a big image saying W3 schools.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. If you
Oh,
if you see at the top, if you see in the top left and sorry, top right, there's 3 buttons. If you click to shift the browser over to the left window, you'll see a big log screen output
It's
and a
not
big
there.
drag and drop area
Nope.
at the top,
You're not.
and you
We're
can
not.
scroll that.
We're not seeing that on this one. It may not be in this world.
Yeah, maybe not on Quest. Yeah, probably not on Quest.
Okay.
It definitely is.
can
now
click
in
it.
2D mode. Yeah.
Yeah, I can click it in.
Yeah.
I see like half a line of
I
text.
see something electron input event tester.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
Oh.
It's not perfectly set up, that interface just yet, but that was an interface that I think Claude threw together for me to help me test all of the mouse input and keyboard input when I was mapping the input controls into the new browser module. Right, we've rebuilt a custom browser module from scratch, and yeah, for that reason, I had to get all the keyboard stuff going. In fact, those of you that are interested in keyboard stuff, yeah, how about you should be able to just listen for key events now on like the document element, right? And you'll get key events inside that browser. So it's kind of surfaced like that. You'll get those for the virtual keyboard as well as the physical keyboard. So it all should just be mapped through, for instance. But honestly, there's a bunch more stuff you might be interested. Like I'm actually going through the SDK right now on a super ultra polish pass to try and make it, to try and make it less clunky, basically, and try and make it more friendly to use, especially the JavaScript side, more than anything. So for your interest, there's going to be a new pose update that fires continuously on the scene object, which will just provide you with the head and hand pose if that's something you want. You'll get all the button presses and releases on like scene.on, button press, button release. All of that I think was working before, but it now has more buttons. It didn't have the full button set before. You can also get, and I think you get this by default, you get the joystick axis values and the trigger axis values in that as well, right? So all of that is now built in and optimized. Thankfully, I put a tiny little dead zone on the joysticks, so if they're sitting idle, it doesn't even send any data. But it should allow you to get direct access to that. You can also just block the controls for the user generally, right? In the past, they had to have an object in their hand. They had to be holding an object, grabbing an object in order for you to take over and block their controls. But now there's just a global way you can script to disable each and every button one by one on their controls. And once you disable it, then you can take over and use it for whatever you want, right? So, yeah, I hope that's a whole lot more flexible and lets you kind of do whatever you want with respect to all of that, right? So that's all the pose data as well as all of the controller data as much as possible. Honestly, I've been doing so much. I don't know to what degree each of you are intimately familiar with the structure of the JavaScript side of the SDK, but to give you an example, we've removed the transform component. And basically folded the transform into the game object. So it makes it a lot easier when it comes to the boilerplate code you'll have around setting up objects and setting some of their base properties. We've kind of shifted over to using objects for configuring components or game objects, right? So instead of passing in a list of parameters, which you can still do, you can instead just pass in one object with different named options. Now that universally has been well received internally because it makes it much more obvious what the code is and what it's doing, what each parameter is supposed to be, right? Because each one has a name. So you can now pass everything into the game object. You can set its position, rotation, scale, layer, and name, of course, and even its parent, right, inside the constructor. And that's the new bs.gameObject inside those brackets. You can pass all that information in so that the object is basically set up exactly. To give you an example, if any of you have ever seen FireRat's browser, right? And if you've ever noticed when it loads in, there's kind of a sequence to it that each part loads in one after another, and that each part moves from the 0 position to where it's supposed to go. Well, let's just say we've kind of smoothed that out so that all of that just happens instantly, seamlessly, without any kind of delay or sequence or latency like that. We've also made it so that you don't have to use async await, right, or promises. If anybody knows what I'm talking about there, that's something that's quite important in the current SDK, but the new one means that you don't have to use that, which makes things a little bit easier, right? You've got the choice, you've got the option. Yeah, I mean, aside from that, there's a whole new asset database that I've been working on today, a whole host of new components on the JavaScript side, and probably a lot more I'll be adding fairly soon. And yeah, this whole new UI system I mentioned before is also going to be available in about a week or two, I would say. So it's probably going to be the biggest update to the JavaScript side of the SDK since it was released. it should be hopefully fully backwards compatible. And I'm going to be trying to test out with some people to see in sort of complex scenarios how well that can work. But it's designed to just slot into an existing space and not require any changes or updates. But yeah, you can basically change over anything new that you're doing to be a bit cleaner, right? And to not be as complicated in general. So yeah, I don't know how many of you this means anything to. I know at least 2 people in the room definitely love JavaScript. So for those maybe 2.5 people, if you count the dead Shoseki over there.
Only
But
half a dozen.
you have another
Oh,
one.
what?
You
Oh,
disconnected.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is also like
What are you doing? That's not right.
Fornicating yourself.
You didn't catch that on
Oh
camera.
no.
mutual appreciation.
Hey, it's fine. We're buddies.
A little bit of self-love.
So
Oh,
Essex,
God.
you're saying that there's no more transform component. So what would
Yeah.
happen if you called BS dot, transform component, new BS
I'll-
dot transform component?
I love that you threw me that question. That's a nice little softball there, Shoseki. I appreciate that. Yeah, I basically just shimmed those in so that if you try to access the transform like you would have in the past, it just returns the internal transform. If you try to add one, it just returns one. If you try to get it, it just returns the internal one. It's basically always there now instead of having to set it up separately, because that was just one extra line, and in some cases you had to await that line, which added extra delays and time and made it complex. But yeah, you don't have to do any of that. But it still works if you do want to do it that way. So yeah,
Cool.
that's the hope anyway. But yeah, one thing I'm excited about is with the asset system, part of that includes a referencing system. So the idea there is that you're going to be able to reference components like you do in the Unity inspector. So one thing that's going to immediately enable, if you're ever using some of the physics components, like a configurable joint, you've got to be able to set a rigid body on it. The connected body, basically, is the property you set, but you have to assign a rigid body to that. Now, that's never been possible directly from JavaScript before. You would have had to set up a Unity scene and then set up all those references in the Unity scene and then access those Banter components from JavaScript. It would have been the only way that you can do it. But with the new referencing system, it will mean that you can just say, here, the rigid body has an asset ID or a reference ID, and you can pass that along, and yeah, Banter will just find and assign that rigid body. So the hope is that we can do that for a bunch of different asset types, right? Like textures, materials, audio clips, maybe even GLBs, so that you can just load it up once and then it will, you can reuse it, right? In multiple places. That's going to be another performance benefit really there, in that you can, especially with materials, you can reuse them and keep draw calls as low as possible. But yeah, it's also going to have a caching system built in, right? So some of you may have noticed in the past, if you ever load a texture or load an audio clip, it literally downloads the same file twice if you use the same URL. But now there's a simple caching system in place that will just grab the same clip as the other thing if it happens to have exactly the same URL, right? So it works like any cache in that regard. If you want, you can bust the cache. You just put an extra query string onto the end of the URL, or maybe a hash, whatever, and that will allow you to bust the cache very easily. But the cache is just going to make it so much easier, and then effectively we'll be using the underlying reference system, because every asset you load up will go into the asset database, and then it will just find it by reference. And other than that, I mean, yeah, that's basically it. Anywhere you might have set a URL before, it can also accept an asset ID. and other objects or other assets will just have asset IDs, and you'll be able to query all the assets in the scene. And right now, I'm just trying to decide how many objects do I want to include in that. And honestly, I'm thinking of just including everything that we've got available, so that you might even have a default selection of materials that you can work with that are already built into the client, or have some textures that you can play with that are already built in, right? And that maybe we can even add some packs almost, or some things we can create ourselves there. So yeah, so it becomes super easy to just create objects without necessarily needing to go and grab a texture from somewhere or upload a texture to somewhere, right? Because that's what you often have to do. But is Technocrat still here? Do we lose Technocrat?
Yeah, technically I'm
Think
here.
you have-
If my audio is even like working.
Oh.
testing.
Nice
Yeah,
outfit.
you're
Oh,
showing
you're
us,
signed out.
Minion, though.
Minion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Great
having
outfit.
audio issues with my other account, so this is what I use
Gotcha.
for like multiplayer debugging, I guess. Minion. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, yeah, that was that was a nice segue because hopefully this sort of stuff is going to flesh itself out really nicely in the likes of the inspector tool that Technocrat has been working on. So, yeah, being able to query assets, assign assets, all of that kind of stuff is going to hopefully elevate that one little bit further and make it a lot more viable as a professional tool for creating content, right? And yeah, that we can just use built-in sets of textures or generate textures on the fly, pretty much do whatever it is that we want.
Oh, I think you
Oh no.
gone quiet.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Actually, I have a question. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
Busting the cache is something that I've had to do on my local quite a bit recently, doing some JavaScript testing and then finding out that it's not refreshing. Obviously, in console, Chrome console or what it's called, you can just right-click one of the sources, say clear cache, and force it to, reload. Do you think you'll
Yes.
add to the, bs.clear kit item or something, kit by ID, like just to clear out something if it's weird?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Basically
I s-
add the ability to bust a random cache item and force it to be.
Yes, a single asset. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I need to look into that. Unity internalizes the asset bundle cache, but there might be a way to just bust an individual ID. Yeah, in terms of JavaScript files and stuff like that, though, that's probably a little bit different. Though there is actually probably some easy stuff that you can do there. Like if you toggle the dev tools, I think it's under the network tab.
Oh, that's
You
true.
can
Yeah.
tick an option to disable the cache in there,
Yeah.
which is usually pretty good, right? Assuming it's not a server-side cache, that should
Yeah.
keep you reasonably fresh if your server isn't sort of doing that itself, let's say with cache headers and stuff like that. But that's the best thing there. Of course, if you're working with Bant.ing hosting, your JS files and your other files, I think they are automatically cache busted when you re-upload them, so you don't need to worry about those. Same with your asset bundles; they should also be automatically cache busted when you upload them.
Cool.
So yeah, maybe that's a good opportunity for Technocrat to give us an update on how stuff is going with the inspector.
Yeah, I mean, like, everything's all in well. Really just need to do a migration to the new API and make sure everything is, like, stable. And then it should be as simple as just importing a link, and you'll have the capacity to do in-game game editing and whatnot, and have a whole set of tools. Right now, I'm just kind of doing experiments with AI stuff to see if it could just kind of accelerate it by just asking it, hey, like, build this, build a coin that, like, flips every 5 seconds. And even you can, go off of just riff off of it. Like, okay, like can you plot out a graph that like can do a Monte Carlo like simulation across 50 flips, like generate like 100 coins, and I'll just record all of the flips so that I can graph if I were to put the offset, the center of mass offset, how is it going to influence the probability of it hitting a heads or tails, or like just going sequentially, you know, here's a small task, see where it can go, how well it can generate UI on demand, how well it can kind of like link behaviors across elements, how well it can like compose components, all the Banter components. And really what I think might be useful down the line in the short term is to kind of just sample what is it exactly that creators want out of like a VR generative system, right? Like if you could kind of ask an agent to do one part of the building process, what parts do you find the most like effective for actually like evoking your artistic like desires, and then benchmarking that, I guess. So yeah.
I know what I'd like. I'd like to ask Claude if Claude could make me an iPad with an M5 chip.
An M5 chip. I mean, it'll simulate an M5 chip, but it's not going to actually be able to extract compute unless there's some serious like parallelization it does by, you know, like I don't know. Okay. In terms of you can make it generate like probably an iPad, and then it'll have like a M5 chip, right, like on the back of it, if
Right.
that is sufficient. I mean, the real thing I think is like to parameterize these problem sets into a way that's actually like measurable, right? Like
Right.
make a rotating cube, right, that like when you touch it, it turns red. Make that like as a problem set to have, and then you can use that to test across the performance of different systems. But like these problem sets are going to kind of be it's like training a kid, I guess. Like you kind of have, it's going to set forth the course of its abilities. So like having a good initial problem set will like, you probably want to have it well calibrated for the demands of like VR creators, right?
So would
That
you
makes sense.
would you be able to provide us with some examples of things that you're looking to have it do? I mean, I was being a little facetious with the iPad, but it would be nice to have a handheld device that I could press the buttons on. Is that too much to ask?
That could be like just we should have a place where we like document maybe like a feat, like hey, it should be doing X, Y, and Z. When you use the inspector, it should do that automatically. Like you can just complain to it and it'll
Right.
record the things it can't do, and then maybe we can simulate benchmarks off of that and compile them into like a test set that we can then like very measurably improve the system on. It's I
Okay.
guess
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, as long as you know, I need to be reined in because I want to fly to the moon tomorrow. You know, so if you have some parameters around what's reasonable to ask, then I can keep it within that.
Yeah, there's such a weird thing about like what is kind like, to be honest, VR is very unbounded. Like even if we were to say, okay, I want a rocket ship to the moon, right? Like there's certain aspects, dimensional, like there's certain like parts of that experience that is more meaningful than other parts of that experience.
Mhm.
Is it like the look of the rocket ship? Is it the mechanics of like flying? Like what exactly is it that is the most meaningful
Mhm.
areas to get right for it to be a good experience or like a good
Right.
generation set?
So
And being able to kind of like quantify that is non-trivial, but like worth doing. And the odd part is that this is a very novel space, so there's not a lot of data sets to kind of figure that out. And you know, I guess we can try to figure that out. You know.
so would we break it down into the takeoff, the trip, and then the landing? Could you do it that way?
It's also whatever process you think is the most enjoyable for development. Like
Okay.
you might
Okay.
want to start making a movie at different scenes, right? Like if you're directing it, like I'll start with this scene and that scene, and
Right.
then kind of compose it into one, like I guess, experience.
Right.
However, yeah, you like
Okay.
to develop, like it should match that energy.
So this new system would allow you to create storyboards so that you could build out from that.
We could have it generate a storyboard like UI. Yeah,
Right
you
on.
can build out a storyboard toolkit if you want with it. and it should start fulfilling that need.
Right on. When can we start?
Whenever the SDK is, plus maybe like 2 or 3 days for me to make sure everything is like non-glitchy.
Right on.
I think roughly. Yeah.
So Shane, will this be 3.0?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? Let's go,
Well,
Barry.
I want to nail you
Get
to
it
the
out
cross on
next-
this one, you
The
know.
next rain shower.
It's the berry upgrade.
Yeah, that's right. It's a 3-point berry. version.
No, I just want to be able to play with it. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, of course, this sort of stuff is probably going to be out in the next version, right? The speed at which we've been able to upgrade things recently has been increased, let's say, and really what enables this is the browser plugin and the ability with which to take advantage of the fact that you can kind of manifest things a lot easier using web technologies and AI because it's just more familiar generally with that sort of stuff, right? So you can get to a point where you could start with a clean slate and set up your own workflows, do whatever you want, and start to build stuff out, right? So, I mean, honestly, a lot of that is already possible technically right now because the browser plugin has been out in production for quite a while. We just haven't fully yet replaced all of the browser instances, right? So, the one that's in your menu, that one is the new thing. In fact, when you swap between them, you're swapping between the old and the new, right? So you can almost compare between them. But it's going to enable all sorts of bootstrapping of tool sets and tool chains and ways for you to figure out how to apply your own style in almost any way to do stuff like that, right? And I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts how I've seen people who typically don't approach this kind of stuff, how I've seen them be able to get stuff off the ground, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if any of you saw Bob posted, like Bob isn't a developer, you know, he can't really write code. But he came up with a way to automatically generate visual scripting from prompts. So that's nuts to think that somebody who doesn't have a background in any of that kind of stuff but can become that enabled by just using these tools. So yeah, I think that's amazing. Have we talked about MCP yet?
Nope.
Yes, I mean the MCP is we're using the Chrome MCP dev tool so that you can get it to recognize the browser's logs. So that way it has like actual information on the entire state of the world because it's represented in the browser via a hierarchy. And yeah, that way it has like some level of like pseudo vision of like what's going on, and you don't have to constantly like relay information back and forth to like ChatGPT. It's fully immersed. It's in VR as much as you are in a lot of ways. It's like the interface for like common communication. You can
And
think of.
Does our personal log stay with us when we go from one world to the next?
Oh
No.
boy.
There is like a
Oh,
local
boy.
storage cache, and it's non-persistent.
Yeah, it's just like a web page. Everything
Okay.
is kind of sandboxed in that way.
All right. But we can get back into that browser with the same data?
Well, it depends, right? It works pretty
Okay.
much like normal websites where you've
Right.
got persistent storage through
Right.
cookies or local
Right, right.
storage or other storage mechanisms that are built into the browser. It just works all as standard, I guess, like the
Okay.
browser does. But
I wouldn't want to have to
Yeah,
tell it to
what-
relearn, something. That's all.
what we're talking about is a little bit different, I think, than that, right? We're talking about the Chrome debugger. So if anybody's familiar with the Chrome debugger, it's probably one of the most powerful debugging tools on the planet, I would say, right? It comes as standard with Chrome, has loads of really cool features, makes it super easy and quick to build and debug web-based applications. And what this MCP system does is it basically gives Claude full access to that debugger so that it's able to see the output of what it's building. It's able to effectively execute JavaScript directly, right? Because you can do that in the debugger. So it kind of gives it access to a whole new world, right? It's kind of, if anybody's ever seen Transcendence with Johnny Depp, have you ever seen that about the singularity, right? It's kind of like that moment where the AI uploads itself to the internet and can access everything. Because technically it can now just explore what is available at runtime to get an understanding of what it can do without having to necessarily rely on like documentation or trying to read the source code. It can just explore everything that you've got in your scene automatically, programmatically. And on top of that as well, it gives it the ability to see what the web page at least looks like. So if you're building something that is like UI based, using the new browser, then Claude has or any AI probably has a closed loop there to be able to build stuff for you, and that is an incredibly powerful thing because typically, if anybody's ever used AI to build something, typically you just ask it for something, it spits out a blob of code, you copy paste that in. The next level up is probably something like Claude Code or Codex by OpenAI, and that's where you get and Google CLI, right? Gemini CLI is coming too. And that's basically where you get something you run on your local computer where it does the work for you and you just kind of observe. I've been using that one a lot. But this new setup goes way further than that again, where it's like the AI is able to see what's going on in the browser and it's able to inspect the page as if it were a developer. So it turns it into kind of its own QA system, its own QA tool in that way. And because it closes that loop, it means that instead of you having to report back to the AI and say, hey, did this work? Is it working now? Did it build the thing? It's able to do all that. It's able to simulate interaction. It's able to click on buttons to see if buttons work. It's able to see the buttons to see if they're the right color. It's able to do all of that for you, which kind of puts it on steroids a little bit. Do you know what I mean? I think.
Yeah, I would say like it's pretty much like very, very viable, and if not solved for web, but for VR, it has a lot of limitations just because there are one. I mean, Banter is not like a common language, right? I do think I'm starting to feel some struggle when it comes to the fact that there are uniquenesses to the current software infrastructure that it's not familiar with, or at least they don't have examples in its pre-training set. So I almost had to like, I'm probably going to ditch a lot of the command CLI, at least for input. I'm going to use it for future training possibly, but like it does seem like it's much more performant if it were to just generate JSON objects, because that's something that's at least in its pre-training set rather than like a novel CLI for 3D generation. Because like there's never been like a such an example. I think it's cleaner. If I were to be an AI, I would prefer that because it's much more similar to doing like systems level management, which I know it's extremely good at. But because there's no examples of such a thing in 3D like ecosystems, I think it just gets confused. It's like a completely new distribution that it's unfamiliar with. It's going to be an ongoing research just to figure out exactly what is the right form to get the maximum performance on. But like there's also like if we generate sufficient amount of clean examples, then maybe it could well, I mean it also depends on like whether we want to do like a fine-tuning stage at all. That would be kind of expensive, but also like maybe worth experimenting once we have a better idea as to what should or should not be done, I guess. Yeah.
So will this be a subscription model?
What was that? Sorry?
Will this be based on a subscription model? Like to be able to use all these tools?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's only going to be for those who have the same word twice in their name. They're the only ones who are going to have to subscribe. Others will be able to take advantage of a year's subscription for free. We're going to do it. It's going to start out. It's going to be 49 bucks for the first month, and then $99
so all
for the
these
next 18 months, and then
Shane,
you
seriously,
get a couple of ringdings.
Shane, seriously, there are a lot of data centers that are costing an awful lot of money to be built, and somehow or other,
Yes,
Banter is using some of those, I would imagine, and you know, it would be it would be great if we had a sugar daddy that was paying for all of this for us. But you know, the reality is,
Oh,
Mark hasn't jumped in yet, and I'm not sure we want Jeff Bezos.
Marky
to-
I
Mark.
mean, technically, Google already has, right? If they want to like demonstrate the power of their CLI tool or whatever browser-based capabilities, maybe it's worth conversing.
yeah.
And
Yep.
saying,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. And they're super eager, really, as well. We've been in contact with them. Do you remember? Because they wanted access to the AI dashboard thing to showcase it at something, and I sort of pushed back.
yeah.
'cause
The
I
thing
didn't
is, like,
think it was ready
there's always
yet.
like some you know, we're a smaller company. Google is massive, and they could like definitely, you know, I do think there's a strategy in having a at least small active network effect building before like fully engaging.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah.
So
I
what?
mean,
Tell
for
your
us,
friends,
we've got
you know, all-
How is
we've got actually loads of things that we're working on that are kind of spin-offs, let's say, from a lot of the work that we've been doing here on Banter, right? So a lot
Right.
of things you've been seeing, we're working on internally, being able to sort of productize those and stuff like that. Like
Okay.
we've built most of everything that works inside of Banter. We've kind of built from scratch ourselves because we've used a lot of third-party stuff, and we've had to deal with a lot of gotchas and a lot of pain points.
right?
And as a result, we've generally tended to get to our own stuff. And honestly, like for instance, yeah, I mean, I don't know how many of you remember like a year ago or even 2 years ago, but our networking setup back then was so incredibly difficult to bear with. And we've been through a number of providers, but now we have a fully bespoke networking system we built for ourselves with a plan for a new version in the future. But the new version will be built out as a SaaS product, right? Which we plan to make available to other developers.
Okay.
And this is an example. It's not the only example.
Right.
There's possibly a likelihood we'll have a few other things that we can kind of spin out from a lot of the work we've been doing here
Right.
in order to, continue to finance our efforts. So we don't have to charge people with just the word berry in their name.
Right. You always throw me-
Massive subscriptions. I mean, think about it. That's
you
going to
always-
limit our potential. It's
you
going
al-
to be $18,000 a month just
Yeah.
if your name is very nice.
You see, you always
And
you
you're-
always
you're
you always
carrying
throw me
everybody
you,
then.
you always throw me off my line of questioning when you do that, and
I always throw you under the bus.
you do, and it's okay because I'm old enough that I should be anyway, so we're fine. But I do want to be able to understand what is stopping Google and Meta and Samsung and Apple from coming in and just doing it themselves, because this seems like it's bleeding edge stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels that way. I mean, what we're looking at is a kind of an intersection, right, of XR and AI. And I mean, I think everybody's looking at that in their own different ways. What we're really looking at it from is the perspective of creators, creator tools, creator workflows, that kind of stuff. That's our kind of bread and butter. But also, involving in that integrations with standard AI protocols, whether it's supporting agents connecting directly into the network infrastructure, or it's what we've just added, which is the ability to basically control the browser in Banter and effectively control Banter itself directly with MCP interfaces for AI now going to be in the client at some point soon. So yeah, the plan for us really is to kind of turn Banter into as much of a utility and a tool for you to kind of plug things together.
Right.
And do some really cool things. And I mean, the truth of the matter is, yeah, big companies, they can throw a lot of resources at things, and they usually do. But they also end up under a lot of scrutiny, and there's a lot of red tape they have to go through, and decisions are often done by committee.
Right.
Whereas we're smaller, we're more nimble, we can move quickly, and with the power of kind of AI now behind us as well, we can maximize our efficiency and our productivity and potentially do some really exciting stuff fast, right?
Okay,
And
cool.
yeah, who knows?
That's
Who
what
knows
I'm
where
hoping.
we can end up with it?
Yeah,
But
no, that's great. Thank you,
I'm,
Shane. Appreciate
then-
that.
I'm in line behind Barry.
Yeah, no problem.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Also, I like the other map for the questioning because it was a little bit more organized, and I've been trying to kind of ask a question, but like it wasn't clear that I was trying to ask a question, and I don't want to be rude and cut anyone off. So, wanted to throw that out there. But
Is there a thing I can enable raise hand or something now? Isn't there?
Yeah.
is there?
There used to
I'm
be.
pretty sure there's a
Probably
raise
under-
hand mode.
There's a raise hand, but it's hidden in the user list menu. It doesn't appear above anyone's head or anything like that.
Gotcha. Okay,
Okay.
so
I mean, so like I think this kind of goes with everything, but I've been away from banter for a little while due to personal reasons. I also got a job and haven't had the time to put into banter like I've wanted to.
yes.
But one of the biggest questions that I've been having is I hear you and banter or like the people who work at banter talking about a lot of the technical advantages of banter and how interesting and cool the tools are. But as someone who's been who's created a few maps and wanted to get more traffic and people on those maps, I've noticed a distinct decline in users on banter. Recently, I don't think that is a secret. And my question is like, who is the target demographic for banter? What are you guys doing to get people into there? And what is the short-term and long-term strategy for banter?
Good question. That's a great one. That's probably going to fill up the last 7 minutes quite nicely, I would say.
Also, if you
Yeah,
want to talk
yeah.
about, I have a lot of, I don't want to call them thoughts and opinions. I have a lot of things that I've put a lot of research and time into. And if you wanted to talk to me about this offline, I would love to give you some general feedback coming from someone who's not a
Yeah.
technical user and sees banter, who's like looked at banter and studied it. I literally did my master's degree about things in banter. So like, I'm not coming
Well.
from a place of criticism, but like I want to
No, well,
help.
look,
And
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a fairly fortunate position in that I've got reasonable access to many data sources and many metrics that kind of relate to this, right? And whilst I can't go into
Yeah.
specific detail there, but what I can tell you is that there's somewhat of an overall lull right now across the entire industry, right? But that's not necessarily everything that has impacted, where we stand right now with banter. I think the biggest thing that impacted us was that due to that lull in the industry, we had to cut some of our staff earlier in the year, around February. It's actually when we just hit our highest numbers ever. And yeah, that meant that our event schedule was basically cut down by about 60%, pretty much overnight, because we could no longer afford to sustain the events team at the scale that it was at. Now, since then, we've been somewhat in, I guess, hibernation, hiatus. There's still been some staff-run events, but it's mostly been relying on community-run events until very recently, where we've started to build things back up again, right? Started to almost approach it from a different angle. So you may or may not be aware, we have what we refer to internally as the road team now. There's a number of road team members here at the event. Road team members jump up and down to say hello, to tell everybody who you are. There we go, road team. Come on, there we go. Yeah, nice. Okay. And there's a few more, right, who are now running more dedicated events, honestly, working with us internally on event strategy overall. Shout out to Kitty, who's really helping kind of pull things together. And to your point about short-term and longer-term strategy, short-term strategy right now is to try to maximize productivity to be able to deliver a professional set of creator tools within a short space of time. Then the plan is for myself and Technocrat, as well as the rest of the road team and some other staff internally, to start doing community outreach, right? Where we're going to start to go and talk to people about these features. We're going to try and make inroads with communities on other platforms, try and look for gaps in those other platforms that we can potentially position Banter as a replacement for, right? I think what we're talking about is kind of growth hacking as best we can, and right now is the best time to do that, right? Because we're kind of just over 2.5 months now until the end of the year, which is the biggest time of year for VR. And in all honesty, to speak candidly, I know Barry's got me recorded, and I know I've ended up in Upload VR for words that I've said that have been recorded before.
I can shut it up. I can pause it if you want.
Let's just say that.
I'll pause it.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
No,
okay.
I'll keep it clean. But yeah, like we like there's a lot of exciting things going on right now that the industry kind of needs to happen in order to keep that regular kind of news beat of hype going. Something like a new headset releasing very soon. Now there's a lot of things on the horizon, and there's just been like a bunch of renders leaked of the Galaxy XR Samsung headset, and Valve seems to be making moves left, right, and center for their headset to potentially land. And the truth is, we kind of need something like that right now, I think, to be able to kind of inject a bit of energy and activity into kind of what's going on and try and get people more invested, right? Get people out there buying new headsets, trying out new content, get developers and publishers more invested. And honestly, to be able to diversify, right? To be able to have competition. I think that's super important for this industry to be able to grow into its next phase of evolution, is for things to not be sort of fully subsidized by one company, and instead for there to be viable competition where there's a nice spread of distribution of games and users and headsets. At least between sort of 2 or 3 flagship devices, right? It's probably going to be very similar to the smartphone industry. And as far as I know, and this is obviously just rumored, but the Valve headset is supposed to be an Android standalone based headset, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems anyway that the leaks suggest that Steam Link is going to be their method of PC VR that they're planning. So it means that standalone is going to kind of continue to reign in this space for quite a while still. So I think we all kind of need that a little bit. And if you've been out of the space for the last sort of, let's say, I don't know, 6 to 12 months, VR is kind of struggling a little bit right now, and we're kind of waiting for that next big wave of adoption to start kind of kicking in. And I think that will only happen with kind of healthy competition, right? With Apple, with Google on board. So yeah, people are kind of eagerly watching those 2 big players to see what's going to happen. And of course, Valve is always going to be a popular, solid headset, and probably be the next one that everybody buys for the next, whatever, 6 years. I think that's how old the Index is.
I know that as soon as they drop one, I'm gonna go grab it because they always have good build quality.
Yes.
And
but there you
one
go.
of the
That was an
things that
exactly
I-
7 minutes answer. How do you like that?
It's good. One of the things I kind of want to emphasize and say, like, state is that there's too much corporate ideology in a lot of the community-based concepts. Like everything that I see from Horizon Worlds and a lot of the other people who are trying to build community, or not communities, social platforms, they really emphasize the technology and they don't emphasize the community portion of it, because that's what we're doing here. I don't really care about a lot of the technology. I care about the friends and the interactions that I have here and how I can interact with people. And I think that due to like the tech mindset, that's really lost on a lot of people. And for example, I think that that's why VR chat is doing so well, because they have so many social aspects and it really keeps people together and on there. Anyways, that's kind of what I have. I have a lot more thoughts if you want to talk about it. But that's the time for here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I'd honestly love to hear it, and I think maybe possibly some of it might align with some of our thinking as well. Like we've kind of realized here that VR chat is kind of the complete dominator in the space, and that honestly a good position for us to be is to be welcoming to new users that could come from VR chat. Let's say some future situation drives troves of people off the platform. We kind of want to be beds made, doors open, ready to accept them on, and to try and make it as easy as possible for them to onboard. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, in that regard, we've got a number of things going on. Like we've got Unity-based avatars now. We hope to have a conversion process that's like hopefully quick to just go straight from VR chat into Banter and get your avatar in, no matter what it is. We adjusted our default controls to actually match that. It was a fairly small change of about 3 or 4 buttons, and it just makes things match VR chat more familiar. So people are more familiar with what opens the menu and what makes them jump and stuff like that. The teleport button, right, especially as well, making that match VR chats. But we're going further than that. We're actually planning to re-architect spaces on the SideQuest website. We realized that there was actually a very natural alignment there with groups on VR chat. So we actually plan to let's say rebrand spaces as worlds inside the game. And then on the SideQuest website where we've got spaces, those are going to become groups. And currently there's a one-to-one relationship between them, but we plan to make that a one-to-many, so you can link many worlds to a group. And that should actually put us in a great position to be able to provide a lot of the same services under the guise of a group, like a hierarchy of moderators and owners of the group, separate from that of like the creators of the worlds, because their needs are kind of different and they need to work differently. And then on top of that, right, the event system that's kind of built into those groups. And even going a bit further, we've got a post system which maybe people might start to use if we can position it differently. But on top of all of that, that just gives us, like I say, a nice framework that if we're approaching communities on VR chat and want to be able to invite them across, it'll just be less effort for them to have to, like, less thinking if things kind of feel the same generally, right? That's my thinking. But yeah, I don't know if that aligns much with what you were thinking.
Yeah, I have a lot more granular stuff. But if you want to hear it, please reach out to me. I don't want to bug you. You're a busy guy, and we can schedule something.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, maybe I can get more of the team involved on that as well.
So,
I don't have a PowerPoint or anything.
with that, could I mention
I've
something?
seen
I'm
some of
Just
the
have a chat.
suggestions. They are great things. And I had a suggestion. Maybe we could make the mute the V key instead of the M, or give people the opportunity to remap themselves. Because I'm constantly messing it up now. It's
Is
V
it V in VR
VRC.
chat?
Yes.
Gotcha. What's the V? What's the significance there? Because I've seen it in another game as well. That's V.
Voice. V
why
for
is it V?
voice.
Gotcha. We could do it. Yeah, we could totally do it. I don't see any reason why not. Yeah,
Nice.
we just need to swap that key over. I mean,
Or
there is
ha- or
possibly a
have
way to do
both.
it yourself. Yes, maybe have
Have
both.
both.
Maybe have both. Yes, that could
How's
work.
the
Or make it an
Discord
option.
project going? Is the Discord project doing good?
Yeah, I mean the thing I was demonstrating before. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mentioned
yeah,
before that
yeah.
we're working on like a new iteration of our networking system, which we plan to make available externally. Well, actually, the Discord system is ultimately going to become a component of that allows people to bridge Discord into their game networking service as well. But yeah, I think once I get this next version out, which will be the big upgrade to the SDK plus the new browser plugin and system, fairly soon. At that point, I'm going to probably turn on to that Discord bot as a first thing, and make that available as a public bot that anybody can add to their Discord server and be able to bridge, Bridge voice calls into a Banter space. So honestly, it's mostly done. I know.
Nice.
I'm just excited to sit down with it and probably maybe another day's vibe coding, 2 days max, and that's going to be a beautiful little setup there, and it's going to work really great.
Cool.
Yeah, I've also got another one that bridges AI agents into a Discord call, and if you put the two of them together, you can technically get an AI agent. If you get it into the same call as this other bot, then it will project that agent into Banter and give it an avatar, and it can talk and hear people, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, you can kind of pull the whole thing together, which is nuts. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we want to do. NPCs, I think, is a pretty big deal. Most recently, Meta have made them available, although I don't know how many people have actually been using them yet. Fortnite are introducing them as well, so I think it's starting to heat up a little bit around AI NPCs and just the facility to be able to dump them into your space and enhance the experience.
Cool.
But yeah. Anyway, we're just
Thank you.
about nearly 10 minutes over, so I'm going to jump out. There is another event on right now as we speak. Is there?
No, so not. Dutch is doing It's Canadian Thanksgiving tomorrow. His family dinner is
Gotcha.
literally right now, so it'll be back next week. Actually, a new event will be back next week. Dutch and I will be running something together that's going to swap week to week.
Nice. Awesome. Love the new avatar, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was
Oh, the
gonna say something
Halloween.
about
I
that.
forgot I was in it. It's my Halloween avatar.
Gotcha. That's cool. Okay, guys. Well, look, I'm going to jump out. Honestly, it's been great. Maybe we'll change up the space. This is obviously more of the dev meetup, right, where we talk about all the tech and all the mad stuff. Maybe if I can find the time, we can revive the AMA again and have that in the other space. But yeah, I don't know. I
have
just
a
feel like you
question.
guys get sick of
Do you
hearing
guys
the
think-
sound of my voice.
Do you think it would be valuable
No,
to
we
have
don't.
a separate meeting for community? Because that's how like Resonite has it. They have one for dev and one for community, and maybe it's valuable to have one for community, like focused on community building, and that's like also public AMA style.
I
Yes.
agree with that. And it doesn't just have to be shitty.
Yeah. I think that I honestly think that a lot of what we're working towards right now is about, like, even this space we're in right now, right? It honestly was just a prototype that we kind of slapped together very quickly, the AI world builder system. But a lot of what we're working on right now is designed to I can't even say that word. Democratize. Yeah.
I live in America. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't
To
know
make
the
creator
rest
to just make it easier to build stuff, right? So hopefully fairly soon, building stuff with all sorts of different tools is going to be the new norm, right? And whether you want to do it professionally or you just want to mess around with an AI prompt and have it do mad things for you, you should have kind of an end-to-end ability to do that. And like, there's so much stuff we've got coming. Like, I didn't even tell you about it, but we're getting a brand new pointer for all of the UI that's got all fancy smooth stuff built in, and we've been doing mad testing with it to make sure that even with the shakiest hands, it's really smooth, really nice to use. And that's coming in to play probably in the next couple of weeks, I would say, along with all of these new updates we're working on for the SDK and for the new Unity 6.2 basically update, right? Because there's honestly so much stuff in there. But the hope is that using tools in Banter becomes a hell of a lot more viable, right? Whether it's in VR or it's on 2D mode, it's a lot more comfortable. You can do it for long periods of time. We're really investing in that end-to-end experience, and especially how you interact with UI panels. And yeah, next evolution of that is going to be, a transition from pointers at a distance to direct touch up close. And handling all of that automatically, right? And that being something that works for any UIs that you build as well, so that you can instantly have really comfortable UI systems for people to be able to use. But anyway, I'm waffling. I'm going to bounce. Thank you all for coming. I'll see you this time, or an hour ago, this time next week. And yeah, in the meantime, have a good night, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you, Shane.
Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
See you later.
In an hour and just under an hour and a half, there is the NeuroChat event. And
Hey, Grenade. I don't know if you can hear me. I need to restart my computer. I have no sound. I'm dropped my head on the laptop just to hear everybody. So it was a bit of a washout, this meeting. I had to get close to people and I couldn't really do that. So it's really quiet.
Barry recorded it so you could watch it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll be playing it
Hey,
tomorrow.
I'll be playing
it tomorrow.
I'll be playing it tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know why. No, I've got my headset, my Razer Kraken. That's not. It says it's all. I can't change the sound. I can't do anything.